Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I have just been given the nod to go ahead and we can start our meeting. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very long wait to inspire, innovate, and ignite conversations that count. We are sponsored tonight by sacredu.love. Our topic is bridging the gap between spirituality and reason. Is the solution science or is it trust? This will be a riveting exploration into the realms of spirituality and reason, where science and spirituality seem to be at opposite ends of the realm and the spectrum. Our conversation will challenge the delicate balance of preconceptions and go deep to find common ground between the tangible and the metaphysical. This age-old debate, bridging the gap, promises to captivate our imaginations, leaving you on the edge of discovery, wondering where spirituality and reason actually do converge. I'm Sue Rumack, a member and host at sacredu.love. I'm also tonight's leader for this conversation about mindfulness. Well, it says mindfulness. Mindfulness. Okay. In a moment, our experts will introduce themselves and tell us why they are excited about bridging the gap between spirituality and reason. But before we start, hello to all of our audience members, wherever you are, however you are. We have one audience member having joined us live through Zoom. Please use the chat to let us know where you are in the world and where you're from, and ask any questions that you might have of our experts. We love questions and we will look for them and we'll answer them. So let's jump right now to welcoming our panelists. Nicole Hurd, would you like to introduce yourself and tell our audience just a little bit about you?
Yeah, thank you, Susan, and thank you for a beautiful introduction to today's panel discussion as well. You actually really have brought us into the present moment. So I help visionary women optimize their potential through their gifts, talents, and abilities to create a business. And part of that is using their intuition and a structure. So I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because it is very relevant, bringing spirituality and reason together.
Well, we are waiting to hear what you have to say about that. So thank you very much for joining us. Where are you in the world, Nick?
I'm in Torquay in Victoria, Australia. So Bells Beach.
Lovely.
So where all the surfing competitions happen in Victoria.
Oh, you get all the good-looking guys then. Thank you.
We do. Especially, they've just left us over Easter, was our World Surf League. So yeah, they've just all gone. And the women as well. They're very we have some awesome women. We have a really great junior surfer here as well, up and coming for Australia. So it's very exciting.
That is exciting. Thank you for telling us all that. Denise Blakely, your turn. Tell us where you're from and why you're excited about tonight's topic.
Yeah, actually, it just really plays into the work that I do. And, I support and teach people to self-heal through intuition, really getting to come back to home, which is self, and healing themselves in all areas of their life, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and in their work life and social life. So just really bringing them home to themselves.
So you really are bridging many, many different gaps between spirituality and reason, real life.
Yeah,
thank you. Beautiful. I'm so glad that you and Nicola and Denise are here. I'm very excited about our conversation. Katerina.
Hi, I'm Katerina from Be Your True Self. I'm all about bridging the relationship between your emotional, mental, and spiritual connections so you can move through the unraveling of your ego or shadows so you can connect with your higher self to bring in solutions, answers, and create a quiet place to not become distracted by our world.
And why are you excited about our topic tonight?
Why am I excited? Well, it's such a broad topic, and there's different points of view, and I always like to bring in my point of view and where I sit with all of the bridging between spirituality and everyday life, and and how it's important to be human to be able to make that bridge.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that being human part. I think that sometimes is when we get really spiritual and follow our excitement, we tend to forget that we are human and we want to aspire to something more. So I'm really excited for tonight's conversation. I'm Sue Rumack. As I mentioned, I'm a host here at Sacred You. I'm a member at Sacred You, but outside of Sacred You, I'm also an overwhelmed strategist for highly sensitive empaths. And I help really, I'm going to say, energetically connected people to deal with the overwhelm of everyday life and how you do bridge that gap, but not just between spirituality, but between reality and the metaphysical world, and again, spirituality. So it's a wonderful life that we live, and it's very exciting and so many mysteries. Okay, I'm going to start with some questions. The first question is, I'm going to put it out to the whole group. Just jump in and let's make this a really interactive conversation. If we get two people jumping in at once, I'm just going to say, you go, and then you go next. Okay, and it'll be random. Okay, question number one. How can we reconcile the seemingly divergent paths of spirituality and reason to create a more holistic understanding of the world? How can we reconcile those two divergent paths, spirituality and reason, to create a more holistic understanding of our world? Who'd like to start?
I'll start.
Okay, jump right in then.
How I would like to answer that question is, I'm a big believer in creating your own process between all levels of understanding, through the spiritual to the physical, and find the human reasons as to why you want to delve into your spirituality so you can connect to your wisdom and understanding. That's how I understand the question. Holistic understanding is really all about creating your process through the food you eat, through the conversation, through every level of our existence, and understanding who we are in the world in the current moment of so much distraction, right? So I always say, my reason, what I would say is, no one is better or less than you. So you just you find your way through all of this and create a bridge between your own understanding and collectively to get your answers and to get connections with people who can help you. Because I think the gap between there is, you got to be willing to do the hard work and also reach out and say, I need help. So I think that would really help.
Thank you. I think you've given us a beautifully down-to-earth base from which to jump off of. Thank you so much, Katerina.
Yeah.
We'd like to go next. How can we reconcile the seemingly divergent paths of spirituality and reason to create a more holistic understanding of the world?
Yeah, I'm happy to go. Yeah, that was beautiful, Katerina. And yeah, it's about, because we are humans. We are living a human experience. So I always look at spirituality as our heart and reason as our mind, because what we see and hear, that's what goes into us, and we're trying to reason with everything we're seeing and hearing in our life. And the spirituality is really coming from our heart to actually feel. And when we go from a feeling perspective, there's actually no words to it. They're emotions that we've reacted to every reason that we're trying to reason, if you know what I mean. So mine is, I love to walk with people and say, okay, this is your reasoning, but what is your heart actually saying? What is the spirit saying? What is your innate soul saying, which is spiritual? That's the holistic spiritual side of us that we put aside because we're always reasoning with life. So it's about coming back into ourselves and asking, what is it that I truly desire? What is that my heart wants? What is it that I love? You know, love is the catalyst of everything. Because love, what do I love to do? Who do I love to be? You know, it's really coming back and asking yourself, instead of trying to reason with everything that's coming in. It's about going, okay, so what's my heart say to this?
And
Yeah.
that's how you bring those two prongs
Yeah.
back together to create one
Yeah, because
one whole.
it's never going to stop coming in, and we're never going to stop hearing. So it's about going, okay, what is my truth? What is the, you know, my spirit? What is my soul want? That, and we
That's
find
lovely.
that by coming back to ourselves, and you know, and then the reasoning slows down because we then see everything for the truth of it.
What I love is that both you and Katerina have both reminded us that while we are on a path, a journey, we are at the same time always human throughout the entire journey. And we are connected through spirit and through soul with the various truths of our lives. So thank you so much. Nicole, what do you think? How can we reconcile the seemingly, now we're seeing that maybe it isn't so seemingly, divergent paths of spirituality and reason to create a more holistic understanding of our world?
When for me, the word spirituality was quite difficult for a long time. I didn't encompass that with my ability for intuition and self-development, with reason, as you said. It was a word that it took me a long time to actually discover what my truth was with the word spirituality. And I came on that it was my higher self, that I have the faith and in my higher self to believe in myself, to be able to create, to live in my heart, as Denise said. And I think Denise really described that beautifully between heart and mind. So for me, it is really 100% in stepping into my heart, backing myself and believing in what I can create, with the reason of being able to be human. I guess for me, the human side is the reason that we do require structure. We do require ways to carry out our human selves. We don't, we speak with spirit, we communicate as a, a universal energies together, but as humans, we have to go through different structures and reason to be able to do something. So for me, it is believing wholeheartedly in our higher selves while stepping into our humanness and using the structures to create what our spirituality or our heart wants us to create.
I'm hoping that everybody listening is taking note that as each of our experts are explaining how they see these seemingly divergent paths creating a more holistic understanding of the world, that it always comes back to being human. Living, perhaps we explore the 4 and the 5D, but we do live in the 3D. And it's I think it helps us to remain anchored in our own realities. And it gives us a place to come back to as we do our exploration into spirituality and reason, because we can get lost in reason just as easily as we can get lost in spirituality. And that remembering that we are first and foremost on this earth to be human, to experience the human condition, and to take something of that away with us when we leave this life, because we are here to be and experience humanity and to add to it, to challenge it, all of that. But this is not my podium, so I can I can move on to the next question. I'm going to skip to question number 3 on your list, ladies. what are some common misconceptions or barriers that prevent people from embracing both spirituality and reason? Common misconceptions or barriers that get in the way. Nicola, I think you want to start. You had
Yeah, I'd
a
love to
hand up.
start.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would love to start, because I think what a great question, because as spiritual beings, we can assume that we don't need to place structures and how we do things in our life. My experience coming from business, that especially as women, that we step into our spirituality, we are open to so much more in the world and open to such more life experiences, that when we come to the reasons of being instructed on how we should do things, and have to, should do's and all of that, we become overwhelmed with that. And navigating how we can do both, I guess. Being spiritual doesn't mean that we don't have to follow the recipe of life. We can actually incorporate that, but the spirituality actually allows us to adapt what we want to do for ourselves. It gives us the higher purpose of going, okay, this is what I want to do. So for instance, a lot of people become overwhelmed with social media, and our spirituality can actually come to us and go, this is toxic, all of that. But we can also tap into our intuition, the things available to us through our spirituality, to make things like social media work for us. Like for today, instance, this is a really beautiful conversation we're having that some people wouldn't see if they weren't a part of social media. So our spirituality also keeps us in touch with the reason, and the reason of how to put stuff in place is what I'm saying. So we can use our intuition to choose what we want to do, and then step into reality to adapt our reality to our spirituality. I hope that made sense.
So let me understand, let me clarify, if I may, for myself.
Please do.
Spirituality is being partnered with intuition in this part of the conversation, and reason
Correct.
is being matched with taking action in some way.
Yeah, correct. So I'm trying not to make it all about what I do. So I do apologize for that. So we can step into ourselves and choose who we want to be and how we want to be. But sometimes when in spirituality, we do have roadblocks up because we don't want to follow what is considered the norm or reason, because other people, that's how they step into the world. And often, sometimes we've come from a place where we've had to do so much and be what everyone else expects of us, that we step into the spirituality realm and go, but well, we want to disconnect from that.
So that would be the barrier that we're talking about, the barrier that would prevent a person from connecting with one or the other or both. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you for helping. It's identifying and being aware of the barriers that have stopped us or stop us from being there in our reason, or stop us from spirituality, and actually bringing them together, because we can have both. We don't have to be excluded into both. Thanks, Susan.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Denise, I think you'd like to say something. I'm sensing that you'd like to speak.
I really look at that because, we talk about light and dark, and a lot of the dark, the light is the spiritual, the dark is our reasoning, in the sense that, how we're brought up is how we reason, what we've done in our lives and what has caused us pain or hurt or sorrow, whatever it may be, becomes our reason to why we don't or we do. And our spirituality is the light. So you can't have one without the other. So it's about working throughout. The light, the spirit helps the shadow come back to the light. If that makes sense. And, through that, and that's where people don't want to, because it is it can be pretty tough, and it can be hard, or it can be, that's too much work, or I don't want to have to feel that way. So there's a lot of our own reasoning that stops us from doing that because of where we've come from. And so
yeah, no, I'm seeing where you're going with that. Is that we are getting, even though we want to embrace either the spiritual or the reason, there is something in our own backgrounds that may temporarily prevent us from doing that until we do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and sometimes it just takes for some people, it's something really small that I've got it. Or some people, it takes something quite catastrophic to actually go, oh, okay, I've got to, what do I want? How do I want it? What do I want? Where do I want? Why do I want? How do I want? That's then coming back and going, okay, the reason I've thought of reason all this way, it's not actually working for me anymore. So what do I need to step in and do?
Action,
and I love,
take action.
Yeah, I love it because that's what Nick said as well, Nicola. So it's actually about taking that action. It's about, and that's where the spiritual, because you're using something different then, because you don't want to use the same reason that you were using before.
Do something different, you get a different result.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how you're each building on each other's answers. Katerina, what are some common misconceptions or barriers that prevent people from embracing both spirituality and reason?
Well, the greatest spiritual.
Katerina, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you to hold a second. I'm going to ask you to hold just a second. Your voice is breaking up at our end. So what I'm going to ask you to do is click on your video camera and turn off the video. We'll only be able to hear your voice, and that might help us to maintain the connection a little bit better.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question again. What are some common misconceptions or barriers that prevent people from embracing both spirituality and reason?
Well, the greatest barrier is fear, because once you start to learn all about your shadow or your deep knowing of things, you're going to suddenly realize that they may clash with other thinking or thought processes. So your ego or your reason will start to create some fear base to stop you from going deeper to find out what you really would like to do or what you really would like to think about. We're so complex that our humanness is all about learning how to unravel each layer of lack of understanding so we can come into a higher version of why we do certain things or why we don't do things. A layer of the shadow, as I call it, or the shadow is really, the barrier for the shadow is the ego, because the ego is being taught by our world to stop us from going deeper so we can find our light or our clarity. And so we have to learn to understand these two aspects of ourselves so we can open up more doors into our spiritual havens, or however you wish to call it, to understand that being human is the spiritual journey that we've come here to be, right? Because our human selves are the vehicle to create the higher frequency so we can go into understanding, and that would be the higher self or God or however you wish to call it. The barrier starts to begin when we realize that we are strong manifestors, and we suddenly realize that whatever we speak will manifest. So we start to learn to be more careful as to how we communicate. So that's a barrier as well. So self-education about how to communicate is really important as well. But at the end of the day, really, if you want to take that spiritual journey into the reasoning of where you are in your human life, you've just got to decide to step back from the chaos that surrounds us and decide that you will not become afraid of who you are and your own power of reasoning.
What a beautiful answer. Thank you, Katerina. I'm so glad that we were able to get your voice with actually even without the image, because it was that much more powerful. Your message was
Okay.
very clear. Thank you.
Thanks.
Question number 2, which we're actually introducing as question number 3. We're going to focus on spirituality just for the moment, okay? In what ways can spirituality enhance our capacity for reason? And vice versa. In what way can reason enhance our capacity for spirituality? Choose any which way you want. Spirituality enhancing reason, or reason enhancing spirituality, or both. Who'd like to start?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, enhancing, in what ways can spirituality
What
enhance?
I would like to,
Oh, sorry.
Let's let Denise go first, and then Nicole will come back to you if that's okay. Or was that Katerina? I'm not quite sure. Go ahead, Denise. We'll start with you and then we'll move on from there.
How can spirituality enhance our capacity to reason? I like both ladies said so eloquently, you know, it's about the spiritual journey is about unpacking ourselves. It's about coming back to ourselves and see why we do what we do, how we do, when we do. And, you know, to see the reason of that. Because reasoning is about, we're always looking to see how we go out into the world, how we behave, what we're doing. So spirituality to me is like the truth. If I'm going to be on my spiritual journey, it's about loving myself, which, you know, being open to love, which is about being open to the truth of love, no matter what, and then feeling the full expression of what the truth is here to show me about everything about myself. Therefore, then when I do that and I am accepting of that and I feel through that, I open up and my reasoning actually really changes, because I see the truth of everything. I don't see it mask of it. I don't see the delusion or the illusion or the stories that I keep spiraling into. They, you know, because that's what happens. Our reason becomes a perpetual spiral on the same story that has the same outcomes, just different situations, but it's the same outcome. And to enhance our capacity, spirituality is just really coming again back to ourselves, honoring ourselves, knowing ourselves, and take it from there. And, you know, because, you know, what we've grown up in is a learnt reasoning. From the day we're born is a learnt reasoning. So I know everything that is come from everything that I see and hear. And we're never taught to ask ourselves, what about me? What is it that I want? And that's the spiritual side of ourselves, is who am I? I'm a being on this earth having this experience. So who am I? Our reason tells me I'm everything everybody else tells me that I am.
So if people were to switch out a few words, reason would be self-belief that's based on the stories of our lives. And spirituality would be that inner truth that we uncover along the journey,
Yeah. And
simply
that
by being open to ask.
yeah, absolutely. And that
Okay.
creates our own reasoning then, not somebody
Yes,
else's. Yeah.
that's right. So we are creating a brand new form of reasoning
Yeah.
and a new understanding.
Yeah. That it
Love it.
enlightens our life and creates. There we go, and we create whatever we want in our life.
So gentle. Thank
Mm.
you. Thank you. Who would like to follow Denise with in what ways can spirituality enhance our capacity for reason? And in what ways does reason enhance our capacity to be more spiritual? Who'd like to follow?
I will. I will follow.
Okay.
Okay. What I would like to add to that is our reason for something always comes from a deep journey, is to go within that deeper self to find out how we can reason something deep within
Okay.
ourselves. We have a reason as to why we're here, right, as human beings
Well, when
on
we're
the
talking
planet.
about reason, when we're
Can
talking about
deter
reason
us
in
as
this,
well.
when we're talking about reason in this capacity, we're actually talking about the intellectuality of being who we are, not the reason for us being here. We're going inside our heads, not into the spiritual world when we talk about reason in this specific capacity.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So when you go venture the mental capacity to find out the reasons as to why you think or do something, and then it would lead you into your spiritual journey to find out an expansion of that you didn't know about. So then your reasoning creates an expansion of clarity, so then you can make a decision at that given moment.
Very clear. Lovely. And now you've just added on to what Denise said, given us just that next layer on. Thank you. Nicole, what are you thinking about this? For some reason, Nicole, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I didn't
Ah.
take myself on mute. Thank you. I
Okay.
loved what Denise was sharing and Katarina built on. And reason to me is that it's when we need to know why something's happening, and spirituality is that we just do it because it comes from our heart, and that reason comes from our individuation, as Denise touched on, that we are taught what we should think of, how we should think, and other people's experiences. When we're in our heart, we are actually open to experiencing our own journey, our own definitions, and our own perceptions. So that's kind of where I come from. That it's that we step into our spirituality by choosing to create our own perceptions, our own definitions, and our own choices. And we acknowledge that we have had the reason, we've had the individuation, and that's been shared with us along the way. And sometimes our beliefs actually become our dysfunctions. So that's where our spirituality allows us to actually review them and go, okay, that's something that I've led my life by. It doesn't mean it's the truth. So it's, again, our heart comes back into our truth and being open for our own experiences.
Lovely. It's funny. I'm a channeler, along with all of you ladies. We all do that as well. And many, many years ago, I was asking my guides, mind, body, spirit, what's all that about? And what they told me was that the mind is associated with spirit, because spirit is the experiential part of our life. It's the storyteller of our lives. And soul it lives in our heart and connects always and forever to source, and is the truth teller of our human existence. So if we want to know the truth of anything, you ask from your heart, and you allow the answer to come back through your heart and through your body. And that way you you feel the truth of that answer. And if we want the story, the belief system that we've created around certain experiences in our lives, we will always ask from our heads. We will noodle it out. We'll take it apart. We'll dissect it. And every part of that story is a construct from something else that's happened to us in our lives. So spirit is always from the intellect, from the head, housed in the head, and the truth is always soul, and it's in your heart. So that takes us back to body. That takes us back, if you want to think about it, in that case, soul and reason are actually connected in that way, in that the truth of who we are and what we do and how we do it comes from our heart.
Yeah.
All the rest of that stuff, yeah, it's spirit. It's spirit. It's spirit interpreted. And then we can make of it what we choose, whether it becomes a good thing or it becomes a dysfunction. And then we still have room to play with it, because we can always take it back to heart and go, but is it true? Is it real? But that you ask in heart. Okay, thank you. I think we've got all three of our answers for that. We've got possibly time. No, we don't. We're supposed to end by 10:30, but we started a little late. Sophia, should we continue on or should we begin to wrap up?
You can continue on as much as you like. So
Oh,
we
ladies, are you up
started
for one
late,
more?
so
Yes, we did.
it's okay.
Are there any questions that you're seeing on any platforms at all?
Not at the moment, Sue. We will let you
Okay.
know. Okay.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
let you know. Okay.
Okay, so my last question is, it's number 4 on your list. How can a synthesis of spirituality and reason contribute to personal growth and societal well-being? Don't you love those big words? How can a synthesis of spirituality and reason contribute to personal growth and well-being? Okay, Nicola, you got your hand up. I'm happy to talk with you.
Beautiful. Sue, I think you answered that in your last statement. It's really about coming back to our heart and coming back to the truth. And being in our heart and listening to the truth is also about taking responsibility for who we are in our actions and how we actually proceed in the world. And societally, I think if we all did that, we all came back to our hearts, asked the questions from, our intellect and came back to our hearts to receive the truth and stepped into the responsibility of our hearts and the truth and perform from that place, gosh, it would be an amazing place to live.
Well, maybe we can
Very
wish that
simple
into
answer, but
it's a perfect answer.
That's
Maybe
good,
we can
yeah.
all wish that into existence.
mm,
Now that you've stated it, maybe we can just wish it into reality. It happens.
just create it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would like to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. Totally on board with Sue, your statement said that before, and Nicola, just adding on to that. And I always say, we want the world to change, but I can't change the world. I've got to by changing myself, the world around me changes. And we don't think that we have an effect on everybody else, but energy is energy, and everything I feel, think, say touches everything. It can touch the person I know on the other side of the world, like Sue. It touches her, it touches all of you. Everything I feel, I don't have to speak it, I can feel it or think it, but it's all energy. So it touches everything. And just from that, the recognition of knowing that how intricately important each of us are, we're not here for no reason. We're here because we're supposed to be here and to touch every other person around us in love and truth, and feeling the magnitude of that. And really owning ourselves, and knowing ourselves is the best gift I can give everybody else in this world. Me living from my truth, from my heart. And it's just the biggest thing I can say is be open. Just be open to knowing the truth. Be open to knowing yourself. And when you're open, step into your heart and let the truth speak to you. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. You know, you answered that question, but you also answered the following question as well. Katerina, I'm going to come to you and ask you for your answer, but the fifth question on our list was, what practices or approaches can individuals adopt to integrate spirituality and reason into their daily lives? And Denise just answered that. So I don't think we could actually improve on that unless somebody has an improvement on that. Nicola is shaking her head. Thank you so much for that, Denise and Nicola. Katerina, I'm going to ask you the same question. How can a synthesis of spirituality and reason contribute to personal growth and well-being? I'm going to ask you to turn off your camera so we can really hear your voice. Would you mind doing that? Great.
Okay. Well, I agree with Denise and Nick. Everything is energy. So our reasoning is trying to work out what the energy is trying to tell and unravel what keeps us from understanding it. And that's our human lives, isn't it? And our spirituality is helping us to understand that we are a lot more at any given moment in our lifetime. Even every hour of the day we change, right? Even if we're not conscious of. I believe we have this innate intuitive GPS that wants to take us into our understanding and bring more clarity, so our reasoning and our emotional and heart space can live harmoniously on the planet. So we can then be the example to each other about how, say, my process works for me. And then another person might say, oh, wow, look at that. That really worked. How about I try something? So it's all about encouragement and loving another person to understand that just because I'm doing something with reason or spirituality, it doesn't mean that what you want to do and understand is going to be any less. Because the human condition has also been toxified, as in somebody might be better than you, so that our spirituality is giving our reason to understand that we have more to offer when we decide to love ourselves a lot more.
Thank you. And I think people need to hear that message, that comparing ourselves to somebody else or allowing somebody else to compare themselves to us and find us wanting, that's their perception. We are everything that we attempt to be, and the more we attempt to be, the more we become. So, and what we do is we show others the way. We're way showers. So as Katerina said, what I do might encourage somebody else to grow a little more in their own way, if not in my way, and that's perfectly fine, because each of our ways is so unique and so different. My goodness. Before we close off this conversation, can anybody think of anything that has not yet been offered to our audience to help them to blend those divergent pieces of ourselves, spirituality and reason, to make them more one?
I'd just like to add one thing that we touched on it really, but not too much. Don't be afraid to have a conversation with your shadow, because within the shadow, there's the treasures of light that can expand your reasoning as to why you're here. And we talked about barriers and how people might find the fear of doing the spiritual thing. Getting to know your shadow is how you raise the frequency into a higher clarity and understanding. So then you can move away from the distractions, and then we can all come together and create a more harmonious world. So we can't neglect our shadow, because then we give power to our ego to stop us from finding the answers that we need.
I think, Denise, please, let's continue this.
Yeah, I'd just love to add on to that is that don't think you don't have the answers, because you actually have the answers within you, and we're actually born with them. We just need to bring them to our remembrance to be able to use them, because they're there. They're there.
Yes.
We have them in us. We always have, but it's just remembering. And the more that you get to the core of your shadows and they clear, the more they get to come forward. Your remembrance will keep coming forward the more that you you clear and heal your shadows.
Nicole, do you have something you'd like to add to that? Oops, we can't hear you, Nicole.
Sorry, I turn off my mute. I guess it is also the when we step into spirituality and reason, it's also letting go of the definitions we actually define these things from. The ladies have both bring up shadows, and we use the word spirituality. It's also letting go that definition of what we may think shadow is, that it's frightening and it's scary or whatever you do, because when we step into this space, and some people who hopefully are watching this conversation are new to what we're speaking about, it is really just being open and being able to create awareness and having the conversations like we are now to expand our awareness and bring our own spirituality, our own heart, our own truth to the world, and or looking at, our individuation and our shadows into the world as well. That's what I would add.
I would love to expand on that. For your shadows,
Yeah.
If you don't know that word, they're our wounds, they're our hurts, they're our childhood things that happened to us that we never had the opportunity to express the emotion that we were feeling at the time, that are locked within ourselves.
Beautiful. And that can create fear in people as well. And I guess that's what conversations like this do. We open the conversation up to say they're not this or whatever, and just be open to that awareness.
Yeah, beautiful.
That is the beauty of these conversations, is that while I may come up with the topic and the questions, it really is your answers that lead the wisdom. And I find that just so exciting. We do have a chat from Jade. She says she loves everybody's unique and to love each other's uniqueness. So asking how we can contribute to this, love each other's uniqueness. Jade, that is a stunning awareness that most people kind of sidestep. She says, amazing panelists. Thank you for everything that you guys do and your uniqueness that you bring into this world. Oh, thank you, Jade. We appreciate your comments. It's nice to be heard, and it's nice to be chatted with. Thank you. Okay, we have come to the part in our conversation where now we turn it back to the panelists, and you have a few minutes to tell us a little bit about what you do, and if you have any kind of an offer or a gift that you'd like to give to our audience, you can tell us about it. You don't have to give your website or anything else. All those links, if you provided them to Sophia before the conversation, those links will be dropped into the comments after the conversation is finished. It'll be there for all the replayers to see and contact you. So anybody who would like to contact Denise or Nicola or Katerina or myself, absolutely look for our links and find us, talk to us. So Denise, you're at the top of my screen, so I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, not a problem. Yes, as I said at the beginning, I help support and teach people to self-heal, and that's to move through like this discussion. It's just said it beautifully on what I do. I help people move through their wounds emotionally, mentally, physically, and get to the core of where they come from. And most of our wounds come from our childhood, then coming forward, because when getting to the core of it is, this is the point where it happened in my life. And then we, it's about the situation, the event, or what happened to them. But it's yes, that's important, but the greatest importance is the emotion they were never able to feel at the time. So it's actually bringing that forward and getting curious about that time. It's not going in there and say, okay, I've got to get that anger out, I've got to get this, I've got to feel that. That's part of it, but it's the curiosity, because in that are the beautiful nuggets, that I can see my resilience out of that. I can see what's come forward for me to take forward in the rest of my life. And that's what healing's about. It's about healing it at the core of the situation, event, moment, that allows us to let go of it here, because it keeps playing out. And then helping my clients to really action and reaction. So there's, for every action we take, there's a feedback, the reaction, and noting it, because karma happens straight away, and that's the feedback. So if I ignore it, I'm going to see it over here again and again and again, just like I get to feel my emotion here. So that emotion keeps coming up when similar things happen. So I support and teach people to be able to do that for themselves and live the life from love, truth, and humility, and just to feel the pureness of life, because there is, and we just don't realize it because we've forgotten about it. And everyone has the ability to heal themselves. They've just don't remember.
Goes back to that remembering part.
Yeah.
So what is it that you would like to offer our audience?
I do
this
one-on-one
evening?
sessions, and I've got 3 spots left that I'm not, I just want to help people. So I charge $50 per session. They're an hour to an hour and a half. And like I said, I've got 3 spots, or I'm happy to have a conversation if someone's going, oh yeah, I see what's going on here, but I just need to know that little bit more. I'm happy to have a conversation and just help them land on their feet to see what they need to go and find. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Katerina, what would you, could we let Katerina go next, and then Nicola, you'll...
Oh no, I was cheering.
Oh, you were cheering.
Thank you.
I didn't know that was cheering. Okay.
We learned something today.
We did. We definitely
Yes,
learned a lot. Katerina.
what I do is you come and sit with me, and I meet you where you are at that given moment. And then we go on a journey together to find out what more you can find out about yourself. So we go through the layers of the shadow, the light, the lack of understanding, finding the aha moment, realizing that you have all the answers within yourself. I offer healing like crystal light bed healing. So I have the crystal lights on in the background if we're on Zoom. My psychic abilities, my channeling with my guidance. You might even have a conversation with Archangel Gabriel as well, while he'll give you a few insights. But my mission is really to hold space for you without any fear and judgment, so you can understand how to love the power within you to expand and manifest whatever you wish to desire. So I do one-to-one coaching, mentoring. I also am a galactic shaman. So if you want to go into those realms, I we can go into those. I do galactic timelines. So sometimes something that might be keeping you stuck in this human life might be something that you created somewhere off planet and you brought it in to this planet because the vibration of this planet can help you to remove it. Right, that's just one. But my goal is just to hold you without judgment so you can discover and have your aha moment to encourage you to find out what you want to do in your life. That's what I do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And now, Nicola, you can do your cheer.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Yeah, it's to clap, because on Zoom we can't clap and we make noise, so it's just an acknowledgement of, you know. So you'll see me doing that.
That's
So,
beautiful, because that's actually a sign language for clapping.
Oh, is it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's just a lovely thing to do when when people are speaking, that you, because it's really hard sometimes on Zoom that we don't receive feedback that we do in a live audience. So it's just nice to
I've learned something
encourage
else
people.
tonight.
Yeah. So I work with spiritual ladies similar to yourselves to create a business that they will love, and it is actually bringing intuition, spirituality with reason, because as business people and spirituality, sometimes we undervalue our skills of what we actually provide. So I help women set up their businesses and create a business that they will love, using spirituality and not using necessarily the norms of business practices that we do struggle with and can find them quite energy draining and overwhelming. What I offer is you can jump on. I offer a free chat that we can chat to see what you need. I have a webinar coming up to give you tips on how that you can create a business, which is free. But yeah, I just love seeing women succeed and actually, you know, creating those business from their heart. And you can create a business and love business. But I have to say, Denise, my goodness, what value your package is at $50. My goodness, that is amazing. Sorry, that was what I'd like you just to share as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm Sue Rumack. My specialties keep evolving. I work with highly sensitive empaths who are dealing with the trauma and the PTSD of early burnout from their sensitivities and from their unique gifts. We work with energy. We work with energy protection. We work with the limbic brain system. It's a blending of science and the metaphysical in order to create the kind of grounding and shielding that is not found anywhere else in any of the other groups, because a lot of people forget about the brain science of it and the logic and the physicality of how the brain works at protecting us from before we're even born. So we bring all of that in. There's process, there are exercises, there's life coaching to manage the history, the self-belief, the reason, and the spirituality blended together to create a new way of being who you are, how you are, with everything that you were given prior to your birth. So anybody who would like to talk about their empath abilities or inabilities, or if you happen to be going through a divorce and you happen to be an empath, whole different ball game. You need a whole bunch of different tools, and that's another of my specialties. So my website will be available. If you click on my website, you'll get to my contact page or any other blue button that says Next Steps Life Blueprint. You get a click on that blue button, and that'll take you to my schedule to set up an appointment free of charge. We'll talk for, like everybody else, an hour to as long as it takes, maybe an hour and a half. We're going to figure out where you're at, what you need, and the steps that you're going to take to get there. And if you love it, we'll move forward. If you don't love it, you've got a free life blueprint you can take anywhere else, do anything you want with. But I guarantee that it will be as eye-opening as this conversation has been. So Our ladies all offer incredible gifts, incredible value. Please do check out their websites, do check out their offers, do connect with them, do connect with all of us, and see life through a different lens, a different perspective, and then choose how you want to blend spirituality and reason, and let's move on with life. I'm going to ask Sophia if she would unmask for a moment and come in and talk to us about Sacred You.
Oh, Sue, thank you very much. And thank you for facilitating such a wonderful, interesting panel. I mean, has been really, really good. I've been listening in the background, even with all the technical fun that we've been having today, including, slow Wi-Fi and all that, and everything else that's going on in the world. We can't blame Mercury retrograde anymore because I think that's over. But thank you, and thank you for Denise, and thank you for Nick, and thank you so much for Katerina, and of course Jane, who's been watching also in the background, for joining us for this wonderful panel discussion. Very, very quickly, next week, same time next week, we have the absolutely honor of having the beautiful Sue Rumack back to facilitate the quest for inner harmony. Coping with 2024, we need to be there by embracing non-traditional practices. And not only is Sue coming back next week facilitating that wonderful panel, the amazing Denise is joining us as well as some other great panelists. Yes. And for everyone who is watching, again, click on the links below, connect with these amazing women. Also click on the links and check out sacredyou.love. Come and join us now. We've got a new member special. You can join us just for $1 Australian, and get to try out Sue's tribe, the Life Force Activators tribe. Did you say anything about the Life Force Activators tribe? No, we will soon. Not only the Life Force Activators tribe, but any of our other tribes. We've got about 20 other something tribes. Come and join us for $1 Australian for 2 weeks. Get to try out Sue's tribe. And one quick word about the Life Force Activators tribe, Sue.
Life Force Activators meets on Monday evenings at 8:30 in the evening, AEST, which is very early in the morning, EST, Eastern Standard Time, and all times in between. We meet every week on the Monday evenings, and we talk about so many different topics that bring people into that place where they are able to live with vibrancy and excitement and joy. And they may show up at our sessions a little tired, but they leave at the end of it a little bit invigorated and a little bit excited, and with definitely new perspectives. The past 3 weeks, we've been focusing specifically on empaths, and what it is like to be an empath, who is an empath, why is an empath, the brain science of it, the body science of it, the metaphysical sciences of it. And we've been kind of taking the layers off, and finding new ways of understanding our sensitivities. I think next week we're going into a brand new topic. I cannot remember what it is, but Jade might. Jade, do you remember what we're talking about on Monday night?
I can't remember.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. For everyone who is interested, come and join the Life Force Activators tribe. $1. You get to try out Sue's tribe for 2 weeks, plus our other tribes. So just for $1, you can't get that anywhere else in the world. Amazing stuff.
Reinvigorating.
Thank you. Your Life Force.
Yeah.
Thoroughly recommend it. All right. Thank you ever so much for everyone who has joined us. It's been a wonderful panel, and we will see you in a week.
We will.
We will.
Good night, all. Thank you for joining me, ladies. You're amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And Jade,